Hi guys, James Orr, founder of Decisive Trading. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of having some sort of coping mechanism in place to deal with the bad days that you have when it comes to trading. Now, bad days in regards to trading, they tend to happen in one of two ways. So the first way is through things like revenge trading, trading when you're angry, trying to make back your money after a loss, and you end up doing serious damage to your account. However, bad days with trading, it can also come after, let's say you take a trade during the trading day and that trade stops you out. Now the trade setup was absolutely perfect and the loss was a normal loss. Part of the probabilities, that is an inescapable part of trading. However, for some reason, that trade sends you into a bit of a downward spiral and you start having negative thoughts. You start thinking, I'm never going to make it as a trader. I'm never going to achieve my goals. Everything's going to fall apart. And you just start to have a really, really shitty time of it. Now, I hear from people all the time who go through both of these different types of basically suffering when it comes to trading. Even experienced traders, they'll have those down times. There's some days when I'll take a trade and it will be a loss. It'll be an absolutely fine setup. I'll be happy with everything that I've done within the trade. But for some reason, I will start to feel really bad about the situation. And basically what's happening is that there's a part of the brain called the limbic system, and within the limbic system there is something called the amygdala. It's basically a little walnut-shaped part of your brain that handles all that great stuff like fear, anxiety, and it's what sends you into periods of self-disparaging, you know, when you really hate yourself and you don't know what you're going to do. It's the same area of the brain that becomes very active when you're suffering from things like depression. Now the problem is that as a trader, well, first of all, trading can be a bit of a lonely venture, and there's not a lot of people you can speak to who are going to understand what you're going through when it comes to trading. Now what makes it even worse is that when you start having one of these really bad days, you are still going to be sitting in front of the computer, and the worst thing that you can do is to continue to trade. All that's going to happen is you are going to do some serious damage to your account and also to your mental health. You know, there's nothing worse than going through a phase of basically wiping out your account through anger, and it's so important that you find a way to break that cycle, because what happens is the thoughts in your head, they start to churn around, they start to move faster and faster in this incessant loop, and the loop is full of negativity. There's no positivity in that loop. You start thinking of those things that I mentioned, you know, never going to make it as a trader, everything is going to go wrong, and in reality there's no reason for you to think those thoughts. All that's happening is that part of your brain is sparking up, especially if it's just one of those days where you just take a normal loss and all of a sudden you start to feel really bad. You know, there's no reason for it. It's just the chemical reactions in your brain. It's just causing you to have a very bad time, and you need to have a way to deal with it. It's so important. When I first started trading, I did not have a way to deal with it, and what used to happen was I'd go into one of those downward spirals, you know, the phases where you want to slam your laptop closed, you want to throw it against the wall, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So what would happen is it would follow me throughout the day, and even worse, it would follow me into the next day and the next day. And it would feel like something was weighing down on my shoulders, and I couldn't shake out of it, and it would start to affect not only my trading but other parts of my life. So I'd find myself feeling miserable when I sat down to dinner with my girlfriend. If I was supposed to be meeting my friends, I would think about cancelling the appointment because I just didn't feel up to it. Now, you need to come up with a way to break out of that, as I've mentioned. That's what this video is about. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through exactly what I do. Now, the most important thing, and I think this is universal for everyone, is you need to get away from the computer. It is unavoidable. If you stay at that computer and if you stay looking at the charts, it's not going to work. Things are just going to go from bad to worse. that part of your brain, the amygdala, is just going to keep firing. It's going to keep getting, if you were in a brain scan, it would just keep getting brighter and brighter, you know, as those thoughts are churning around your mind, because you're giving it exactly what it wants. You are feeding those thoughts. You're allowing them to loop around in your head. You're allowing them to become more powerful and start to control you. So you need to get away from the computer. It doesn't matter what's going on in your mind. It's actually even easier if you have a laptop rather than a PC, because you can literally just put your hand out, close the laptop, and then that is it. The laptop is turned off. Now what you want to do is you want to, after you've turned the laptop off, you want to put yourself into a new situation. So basically change your surroundings, because what you're trying to do is you are trying to break that cycle that is going on in your mind, that cycle of self-disparaging thoughts, of self-loathing, things like that. You know, you need to change what it is you are focusing on. So by changing your location, by changing the setting, that becomes a lot easier. And what I'm going to do basically is I am now going to take you through exactly what it is that I do when I'm having one of those days. So when I've had a loss, and for some reason that loss is just weighing down on my mind. Now for me, the best thing I have found is to get outside. I basically get outside and I go for a long walk. I evaluate what's going on in my head. I look for ways to combat what's going on in my head, and then I start to look at all the reasons why the things that I'm thinking don't make any sense. Now that's exactly what I'm going to do. I haven't had a bad trading day today, but what I'm going to do is run you through the exact steps that I take. So basically I'm driving right now. I'm going to turn the camera off. When I turn it back on, I will be in the position of taking my walk. Okay, so for this walk we need one Decisive Trading mascot. We need one Decisive Trading girlfriend.
Hi.
And we need one robust jacket, because even although it is summer in Scotland, we tend to get every season in one day. Okay, so this is one of the places that I come when I'm having one of those really bad days. Now, one of the reasons I come up here is because you usually get a very good view over the city of Edinburgh. Now, obviously today it has turned very, very cloudy and you can hardly see anything at all, but that's part and parcel of being Scottish. Now, when you are having one of those bad days, you don't have to go out and walk up a hill like I do. You know, you can just go to the park, you can go to the gym, you can go out and cycle your bike, you can just take your dog around the block, whatever it is that you want. You can even go into your living room if you've got one of those stationary bikes and just pedal in front of the TV. But I do suggest that you do some sort of physical exercise, and there's a couple of different reasons for that. Now, when I'm walking up here, or wherever it is that I go, I'm walking quickly. You know, I'm making it difficult for myself, and the reason for that is because when you're doing exercise and when you're making it difficult for yourself, eventually what happens is that you only start to focus on what is right in front of you, because you start to get tired. So your mind starts to push away all of those extra thoughts out of your head, and you just start thinking things like, I'm getting really tired here, this is getting really difficult, can we slow down a little bit, can I stop, I want to take a little break, where is it that I'm going? All of those thoughts start to take over in your head, and what that's doing is pushing that negativity to do with the charts or whatever it is that's making you have the bad day. It's pushing that out of the forefront of your mind. Now, what is also happening is you are releasing endorphins. Endorphins are great because they are, or it's a way to heighten your mood. You know, when you go to the gym, when you finish the gym, whatever it is that you do, you tend to find that you feel a little bit better. Now, at the time, that is not necessarily the case because you're exhausted, but afterwards you get that little spike of positivity, and it's really, really helpful. So when you get to where you're going, or perhaps you don't have a destination, perhaps you just go out and you're walking around the park, whatever it is that you're doing, when you start to get really, really tired and you start to notice that you're no longer really thinking about how bad your day's been and how everything seems to be stacking against you, when that starts to happen, you can slow down. You can stop if you want, you can grab a seat, because your mind has basically been wiped clean. And then what you can do is you can start to think of different things. And what I do is I start to run through all of the positive things that I can think of. So all of the good reasons that I have for being a trader. So I'll think of things like it's very freeing. I'll remind myself that it allows me to trade from anywhere in the world. I'm my own boss, all of those good things. And I'll start to do things like, I'll say, okay, well, you've had a really bad day, but in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? You know, perhaps I had a losing trade, whatever it is, or perhaps if you're just a beginner, you've went through a stage of emotional trading, you've done some damage to your account. So what you want to try and do is focus on something different. You want to start looking at, say, okay, well, I've only been trading for 6 months, and in that 6 months, I have learned an incredible amount. I went from looking at a chart and not having any idea what's going on to being able to identify solid levels of support and resistance. I can implement a trading plan that I know is going to be profitable overall, and for 80 to 90% of the time, or 70% of the time, I can execute that plan very, very well. And then what happens is you start to forgive yourself. And a great way to do that is to start looking at yourself in the third person. Start looking at yourself in the third person during that time when you were having those really, really negative thoughts. So if you've just suffered a bout of emotional trading, or maybe you've just had the loss, what you want to try and do is picture yourself, wherever it is that you trade, as if you're standing watching this person. So you're watching yourself, maybe you know, you start to slouch, maybe your head starts to go down, maybe, you know, your hand goes on your chin, and then you want to start running through all the things that you were saying to yourself, like, I'm never going to be able to do this. This is impossible. I'm such a loser. I'm never going to be successful at anything that I want. My goals are unattainable. What am I even bothering doing this for? And by putting yourself in the third person, you are creating that separation. What you start to see is that, first of all, you are being an asshole to yourself. And you start to say things like, well, if that was someone else talking to me like that, would I allow them to do it? Would I just accept it and think, you know what, that person's right, I am just a loser, I can't do this, there's no point of me even trying? Of course you wouldn't. What you would do is you would tell that person to piss off, basically. And the more you do this, the more you separate yourself from the person when you're in those negative phases, the more that when you're actually trading and those thoughts start to come, or they try to come rushing back in, you're able to maintain that separation, and you can almost say to yourself, wait a second, where are these thoughts coming from? And you've also strengthened yourself by thinking about all the positive things. Well, hang on a second, I've just been trading, or I've only been trading for 6 months, and look how far I've came. Or, okay, maybe I had a really bad day. But in the grand scheme of things, is that going to matter? In a year's time, am I going to look back and laugh at this and think, you know what, that was just a little stumble on the long road to becoming a successful trader? If you've just had a loss, a normal loss, and you're just having a really bad day, you're going to say to yourself, okay, but there's no real reason for feeling like this, and I know that, you know, tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to feel absolutely fine again. I'm going to get back to trading. I'm most likely going to have a winning trade, and everything's going to be fine again. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to smile about it. You'll already be absolutely knackered, you know, maybe you've still got sweat running down your face. Maybe if, you know, you're in a park, people are looking at you like, who is this absolute psychopath? Why is there sweat running down his face? Why is he lying there looking up at the sky, smiling to himself and having a little chuckle and thinking, oh, you are such an idiot, why are you talking to yourself like that? But the important thing is, in your own mind, you're building up that strength. You're basically on the walk, or whatever it is that you're doing, you're clearing out the mind. You're basically taking a brush and you're brushing out all that negativity. And then you are slowly starting to build a wall around the mind, a defensive wall, so that the next time that negativity tries to crush in on you, you have defenses. And it becomes a little bit easier to just brush the negativity aside, because no matter what it is that you're trying to do, you don't want to spend large portions of your life in that negative, slumped down, self-loathing phase. You want to try and get out of it as quickly as possible, because at the end of the day, life is something that you really should be enjoying. You know, you only get one shot at it. You don't want to spend huge portions of your life feeling awful. Okay guys, so as always, I hope that was helpful. I'm James Orr, and what I'm going to do right now is get the heck out of here because the midges are eating me alive. Thank you.